You are looking live at a weekly chart of the Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq has been up 14 of the past 15 weeks. And I'm showing a weekly chart because it illustrates the bigger picture here. We had the COVID run up to 2021, 16,212 high on November 21st of 2021. And of course, don't fight the Fed as they raise interest rates. And we had a 38% correction, retested the low. It bottomed in October of 2022, retested there around December of 2022. And then in 2023, we were off to the races. Boom. Then we had the three-wave correction last summer, which culminated October 26th. And then in November, December, and now January, like I said, 14 of the past 15 weeks, it's just ramped higher, but it still has not been able to make a high like the Dow Jones and the S&P of that 16,212. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, we've had a nice rally after the three-leg down, but there's still more juice in this thing, I believe. If you take a look at the daily chart there, you can see your three-leg correction there last summer, the low, and then this recent rally, which is, traded down to the 21 a couple of times. And you need to be mindful of, the fact that when it gets about 6% above its 50, it starts to get a little cranky. Right now it's 6.8% above the 50. So yeah, it could go up to higher, go 7, 8, or 9, or even 10% above the 50 and just keep ripping, but it will pull back at some point. I'm not predicting a pullback. I think a pullback, if and when we get one, will be an opportunity to buy stocks. I don't really get into the indexes that much. I want to get into stocks, and there's so many stocks to get to today. This is going to be a longer video, and I know I'm not going to get to, all the stocks. So if you have a stock that you want me to cover, just leave it in the comments. I do need to cover the whatever you want to call them, the Fab Five, the Magnificent Seven, whatever. I'm going to include Apple because they do have that new product. It's got an interesting chart pattern here with it had the cup shape, pattern, now a double bottom, and they do have a new product. Allegedly, it's selling well. I'm just monitoring this. I mean, this is one of the larger stocks in the market. Microsoft has overtaken it, but it does have an interesting chart pattern. Microsoft is just making new highs. Like I said, this is the biggest stock in the market now. As it passed in the U.S. market, it passed Apple, and you can see it's just been running higher the last few weeks. Even with the pullback after earnings, you can see the cup shape pattern, then the little flat base with the 3 weeks tight, and now just ramping higher. Meta Platforms, this one ramped higher with earnings. It was up. What, 20.5% the prior week, and last week gave back 1.45. I'm going to say in the spirit of things, it was on lighter volume. It gave back just 1.5%. That looks like a short stroke pattern to me. Amazon, some people were asking if Amazon was a short stroke. No, it took out the higher high, and it wasn't up enough the prior week. It was only up 7.98%. So, but definitely showing strength, Amazon. I mean, you want your stocks going higher, right? There you can see it ramped with earnings, formed that little shelf just for a few days, and then ramped 2.7% higher on Friday. So that's what you want to see. You want to see your stocks making, these higher lows, every week. It's just been higher lows and then the higher highs. As long as your stock's doing that, just hold it and ride it. Amazon looks fantastic. Google on the weekly looks kind of like a cup with handle. It pulled back to the 51 time. I'm going to go to the daily on this one. You can see it was up more than 4% last week. There's your pullback on earnings. Back to the 50, find support, and it's been up every day since. Nice 2% move on Friday. So if you didn't get it, that's why you got to watch these things kind of closely. If you want to enter, you can't be scared of pullbacks. You got to embrace the pullback. It was down to 136 on February 2, and on February 9, it's at 149. So that's, you got to embrace the pullbacks. That's all. Don't be afraid. I'm sorry, I went through Meta, I went through Amazon, I went through Google. Okay, so the last one is NVIDIA. I'm not going to cover Tesla. It's in purgatory. NVIDIA broke out from this base here. It had been basing for a long time from the 502 in August, and it just traded sideways during that three legs down of the Nasdaq. And then on January 8th, it ramped higher, went right through its pivot point that morning, and that was when I bought it there at the 505 pivot. And then it's been just surfing its moving averages ever since. Nothing to do here. Maybe add on a pullback, or I don't know, trim if you want to buy yourself a golf club or something, or buy your significant other something nice. But I'm just letting this one run. It looks fantastic. I can't go much further without mentioning SMCI. Supermicro is up 160% just in 2024. That's right, in 6 weeks of trading. This is a daily chart. You can see the breakout from the 357. So, there was a lot of people talking about a high tide flag, and they were trying to measure from the lows, the lows prior to the breakout. I believe that was the 18th. It was at 306. So, a pole needs to be 100% move, which would only be like 612. But really, you want to measure from my perspective, you need to measure from the breakout point, which was 357. That's an easy paint by numbers. You can see this, plain as day here. And on the weekly, same thing, it's just a clean breakout at 357. So I was hoping that it would close above 714, and it certainly did. It closed at 740 on Friday. So you've got that pole now. Now all you need is a flag, and maybe it doesn't want a flag. Maybe it'll go straight to 1,000. I don't know. Maybe it will flag in here, from 750 to 700. I don't know. We just have to wait and see. But you can see these big blue volume bars. So the institutions are buying this thing. If I go to the owners, you can see the increase in institutional ownership. It's got the Lord on their side. I'm sure they're increasing, with that kind of volume. There's a lot of institutions coming in. You could see, the number of funds increasing, and we'll get the March data here pretty soon. But somebody's buying Supermicro, and it's not Aunt Sally. Anyway, that's what I'm looking forward to with this, is the poll and then a flag of, wherever it decides to do that. And then we can expect a larger move, or not a larger, we can expect another move after the flag. So that's why I say I think Supermicro still has gas in the tank, and we're seeing triple digit sales growth. And anyway, I had to cover SMCI because the data centers are just cranking. Vertiv, they report on February 21, just surfing the moving averages. This one's really strong stock. It's up quite a bit in 2024 as well. And you can see, this breakout here and just ripping higher. And then POWL is another data center stock that broke out of a base here with volume. It doesn't get much volume. It's thinly traded. But I'll go to the daily so you can see the breakout. And then last week, it just kept ripping higher. It just wants higher prices. So on the 31st there, had a 45% move with 650% above average daily volume. That's why we don't ignore those power earnings gap. Yeah, I had a quiet inside day the following day, but, buyers came in, ripped higher. Now it's 250,000 average daily volume with the, $147 price. So it's getting up there. Powell Industries. Anyway, I got to go back to the semiconductors. I wanted to follow up with AMD, the NVIDIA, Broadcom, MRVL, cohort, the fabless stocks. This is AMD, and I believe AMD, is ready to break above this downtrending line. It's pinching in here, making a nice flag. I know people are going to say it's overvalued, blah, 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 but it's all about future growth. And if institutions are coming in, like you see here, they do their due diligence and they believe this thing's got some future growth. Look at these big blue volume bars. That's not Aunt Sally buying this stock. So this is what I'm watching AMD, and I believe, it's a buy above that trending line there, if it can actually do that next week. So anyway, I'm going to go to Broadcom and MRVL. First, I'll go to MRVL. They got hit with the news that NVIDIA's joining their little space there. So it pulled back to its 21 on Friday, but bounced nicely. I was impressed with the resilience this stock. It closed at 75% of its daily range. It traded down to 66.93 and closed at 66.83. So MRVL held up pretty well to that news that NVIDIA's coming to join the party. This is Broadcom. I got to go to the weekly here. You can see the ascending base pattern here. 3 highs with 3 pullbacks of 10% or more. Last week it was up nearly 5%. So Broadcom's looking fantastic. On Friday, it got the news and it pulled back as well. Like Marvell, when NVIDIA's coming to your neighborhood, you got to be prepared. But it was up nearly 1%, and it closed at 94% of its daily range. So there were some buyers in Broadcom and Marvell despite that news. Anyway, I can't leave the semiconductor space without talking about ARM, which reported earnings and had this big breakout on Thursday, and then followed through with a red to green day on Friday. Buyers coming in. I'm not sure about the short interest here. It did have this nice little IPO base. And if you held through earnings, congratulations. If you take a look at the weekly, you can probably see a little more pronounced there, that IPO base pull back to a moving average at a nice 62% ripper last week. And I believe it's up like, I don't know, 50 something percent in 2024. It's actually outperforming NVIDIA this year. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the software names because software was the name of the game last week, despite those pretty stellar numbers that I just showed you. Palantir led the way with this earnings report, and then it ramped higher. 30% move. It takes a lot of demand to move all that supply on Palantir. It followed up, with an 8% move, and then Thursday, a 4% move. Had some profit taken on Friday as it bumped up against that $25 level. But you could see this base on base pattern in breakout and with volume, and Palantir looks fantastic. And it did have enough cachet to say that, it carried over into some of the other software names, including Datadog, which reports earnings this week on the 12th. You could see Datadog, huge sell-off, just like the Nasdaq. Don't fight the Fed. And now maybe, the trend is your friend here for Datadog. You could see that cup with handle pattern, and there's your breakout, and it's just trading higher. What you want to see, for holders, just higher highs and higher lows. And so next week I want to see it above 136. Yeah, they report the 13th, which I believe is Wednesday. Anyway, the day before Valentine's Day. You got to know that. Monday, they report on Monday. I got to go to the weekly here since this is a weekly review. You can see the, I would call this just a base on base pattern. This is all just one big consolidation. After this massive, sell off, this is just one big consolidation, finally broke out. And then this trading higher, kind of like with the Nasdaq up like, 14 of the last 16 weeks or whatever, Monday. Like I say, reports though on Monday morning before the markets open. So that'll be great to hear from another software name and see what they have to say. Snowflake, this is a powerful stock. Same thing as Monday. Datadog, had this massive sell-off. It looks like a ski slope. And then just, forever in consolidation, finally broke out. The last 3 weeks have been up nicely, up 6.6%. And maybe the earnings call from a Datadog and Monday might impact this stock this week. We're going to have to wait and see. But definitely showing strength. ESTC, Elastic. It broke higher out of a base on December 1st, formed this little flat base pattern, and now, it pulled back a couple of times. Give you a chance here, and a pullback to the 21, a pullback to the 21, a pullback to the 10, and now it's adios muchachos. The 118 was the paint by numbers buy point, but it's at 130 now, so it feels like chasing anyway. Oh gosh, I got so many of these to get to. These are been on our ready list at MC Stock Charts. Datadog, Monday, Snow, ESTC, Frog, GigaCloud. We've had them all on our watch list, and they've been performing stellar with the help from Palantir for sure. But frog, does a frog leap out of a base, or does it just jump, or does it just push away? This one on Thursday looked like it just leapt out of its base, like a frog would jump off a lily pad, right? Up 4%, then followed through on Friday with a 3.46% move. And so that's why you got to watch these, flat base patterns. It has this, history of, making these jumps like 10%. Back here on November 2nd, the best day of the year is up 16.5%. So they report on Valentine's Day this week. So pay attention. I mentioned Giga Cloud. This one's up more than 60% in 2024. And you can see it made this big move, consolidated in a base. They had real stellar earnings report. I listened to their conference call. I think this has got more gas in the tank as well. Like I said, it's up more than 60% in 2024. And you think, gosh, that's a big move. I can't buy it now. But how do stocks become 2, 3, and 4 baggers? Well, they start by going up 60% in the first 6 weeks of the year. So keep your eye on Giga Cloud. BRZE, this one had reported earnings and pulled back. It got a little extended out of this base. They reported earnings and pulled back and formed this base here and undercut the 50, rallied back through. And then it pulled back to its moving average, and last week just ramped higher. I want to see what that looks like on the, just broke out of that consolidation last week, up 6%. So congrats to the longs there. That was another one that we had on our ready list. And Path was another one. I just put it on Friday or towards the end of last week because I saw it breaking above this little downtrending line on Thursday. Yeah. So if you look at stocks up with volume, it appeared on Thursday, then followed through on Friday to the tune of 8%, which is a nice day. We'll take 8% all day long. Yeah, it was up on volume on Thursday, 3.75%, followed through on Friday. They have earnings not until March 14th, so that was not an earnings move. Like I said, Palantir really, stoked the fires of the software names last week with their report. Fastly, this is a nice consolidation here, cup with handle pattern. You can see the paint by numbers. 21 buy point. I would say 24.31 too would be an area of interest as it makes new highs here. So I'm going to get out of the software. That's enough. I'm going to go to cybersecurity. That's not software, is it? CrowdStrike, what can you say? We bought this 160 last summer. We saw it was going on the monthly. You guys probably get tired of me showing this crap, but as the index was going lower and the three legs down, CrowdStrike was being accumulated. Then when the market took off, it just ramped higher. November, December, January, now February, it's up 12.5%. So CrowdStrike is just it's showing strength, trading higher. Earnings due March 5th. Palo Alto Networks is in the cohort. They report the 20th. Last time they reported, they sold off, pulled back, and then ripped higher. So you got to be aware of that. It's pretty extended here, these names, but somebody's buying them to push them higher. It's not going up because of the chart. I mean, these institutions, they do their due diligence and they like what they see with these cybersecurity names. You can see it's 19% above its 50 there. And it just broke out and running higher, pull back to, after the breakout, pull back to the 51 time. That's usually a gift. There you can see it right there. So Palo Alto looks good as well. We're going to pay attention to their earnings report next week. There it was, the 281. There's a chance to get in now. It's $100 higher. So Zscaler, another one, their CFO quit, I think, or resigned there was a news dump on Friday. So on Monday, they got punished for trying to be tricky there. But all it really did, though, technically was come down to the 21. And then it found support there and just went up the rest of the week. So, there's your classic action there. It was up 4.4% last week. Looking good. Cyber reported earnings. This is a smaller name. It's a 11.5 billion market cap, but you can see that it exploded higher, 18% after their earnings report. So another cybersecurity name, and this is Sentinel One. They recently bought a company and it pulled back, and now it's recovered. to me. I mean, it's still actionable there. They report March 13th. Anyway, I got to get out of this name and go to the retail. I'm getting out of the semiconductor software cybersecurity and go to retail. This is Deckers. They reported earnings and it ramped higher and then pulled back. You know, it had to pull back. Come on, you can't just, it's what do you think it is? SMCI. This is a leading stock in the second top performing group here. Yeah, $109 move, nearly 15%. And now it's just kind of doing this little flag thing here. We'll see if it allows its 10 EMA to catch up, but that thing is very strong. And if you listen to the CEO of Deckers, he was talking about how they're taking market share from Nike in the footwear space. And to me, that bodes well for On Holdings, but it didn't really respond. It's just, you know, floundering here in this, you know, I would call it a stage one base here as it kind of recovers from, you know, this high of $37 last summer, last August, 37.08. So it's been, you know, 6 months of consolidation here, and maybe it can pull out above that 29.09. I would say that would be an area of interest if you're just, you know, interested. It's above the 200. So I'm looking forward to On Holdings earnings report on March 15th. Crocs is another one that reports this week. Another one that's consolidating in a base here. I would say, you know, we broke above that downtrend line last week. It's a daily chart. I'll get to the weekly. Yeah, so it looks good. It reports on the 15th. Expectations are low. You know, I would say that 106 area is interesting. The paint by numbers is 110.90. Look at Crocs, man. It's really sold off. It's been floundering for a long time, consolidating. So anyway, I'm going to get out of that and go to A&F because this is I have to show this chart because it's a thing of beauty. Nothing to do here. Just count your money. Abercrombie, I guess the kids like Abercrombie, huh? There you see, it just pulls back to its moving average and just surfs higher. This is my Kelly Slater stock. I got to keep ripping here. I have a lot of stocks to get to. Elf, they reported just strong earnings. They have an advertisement in the Super Bowl. You can see it made this run from this cup with handle pattern made the run from 131 to 164. So to me, that's an area of interest as it pulls back. You know, it just allowed the moving averages to catch up. Alpha's, to me, it's trading higher. Full disclosure, it's one of my top holdings. But you can see these pullbacks are, you know, embrace the pullbacks. Every time it pulls back, it just trades higher. Another stock, you know, just higher highs, and higher lows. And as long as your stock is doing that, making higher highs and higher lows, guess what? The moving averages are trending higher. You're making money. So don't overthink it here. ODD, this one's oddity. This is an IPO. Just wanted to show this because it's consolidating in an IPO base. So take note, write it down. This one again, trying to break above its downtrend line here. So yeah, oddity looks like an interesting stock to me, and maybe it'll show up on our Reddit list this week. Okay, and I have to mention Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren and Tapestry just ramped with earnings last week. Just wanted to note that. That's a breakout from a base. Thank you very much, Mr. Ralph Lauren. It was up 16%, almost 17% on Thursday, and then followed through nearly 2% on Friday. And then TPR, Tapestry, ramped 6%, gave some back, trying to fill that gap there at 41.21. And it didn't quite do it. All right, I'm going to move on to the drugs because I like drugs. And normally I'm talking about Lilly and Novo Nordisk, but I'm going to go to the more speculative plays today. ALT, you know, these ones are not, you know, they're like the household names, but they're performing well. And if Market Smith starts doing this to me, I'm just got to cut off the jam and end the tape right there. Because it does this for some reason. I don't know why. It's just holding up. It's holding up. It says here I got 3 bars, so come on, Market Smith. Maybe it doesn't want me to do drugs, to stay away from the drugs. Eli Lilly, no, this thing's not going to perform, so gosh darn it. I have a lot of stocks here that I want to show, and it's not going to let me. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to go back to the drugs here. Alt Just wanted to point out the strength there. Nice move, pull back to a moving average. That one should be taken note of. I'm just going to go quickly here on the dailies. Another one ramping higher, embracing pullbacks, DYN. EYPT, I know there was some famous traders said he sold NVDA and EYPT and all his stocks, and there's a pullback coming and blah blah blah. That's why you don't predict. You just follow the price. This thing made a new high last week. LQDA. Don't predict, interpret. This is Liquidia Biotech. I'll be pretending if I knew what all these things do. I'm just pointing out the strength here. New highs, making higher highs, higher lows, and then TWST reports not till May, but another one breaking above its downtrending line in a consolidation period. Anyway, I'm going to move on to CLS. Now that Market Smith is cooperating. CLS is super strong stock, broke out and just ripping higher. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to do there, but higher highs, higher lows, count your money. Maybe trim some if it becomes too big in your portfolio. COHR, coherent electronic parts stock. I'm just going random here. Gapped higher and then continued on, with the nice 17% move. That's why you pay attention to the power earnings gaps. This is Carvana. I don't particularly sort out, I don't seek short interest stocks because people short for a reason. I really don't want to fight them. Sometimes, you get a big powerful move on the short interest play, like Carvana was up a lot last year, but now it's forming a base here. It looks pretty good. It was up on volume on Friday, just pointing out Carvana. NXT, I believe the solar names may be turning around. This one gapped higher on earnings and is continuing its trend higher. Pull back, probably to its 5 there, but I'm not going to switch the moving averages. Just know that it's showing strength. Coop, I have no idea what these guys do, but I know that the finance area has been ripping. This is a breakout from a base on Friday. Owl, hoot hoot, the owls, and this one is moving higher. This is another finance investment stock. I just have to point these out because there's the rally's spreading. Don't believe that it's just these Mag 7 that are driving the market. This thing's really spreading out to industrials, financials. There's a lot of areas that are trading higher. This one made a 32% move on Friday. Thank you very much. DraftKings, another area, breakout from a base, trading higher. I mean, there's just a lot of stocks and a lot of and I know I missed a bunch of stocks, so if you look at DraftKings on the weekly, you can see that breakout move higher. So that's it for me, except for I lied in honor of the great Steve Jobs. One more thing, I have to point out that the insurance companies, if you got your insurance bill for home and auto, then you know how much these guys are charging. I mean, Travelers tried to charge me double and I went to AAA, but you got to shop around for your insurance. And everybody's different. Everybody has different, credit scores and, value, assets, all that. It all matters, just like fingerprints. No two are alike. It went up 24% on Thursday and followed through with a nice 6% move on Friday. So Oscar the Grouch, there's nothing to grouch about there with Oscar Health. Allstate is another one. I can't believe I'm doing Allstate, but just look at this breakout from a base. This cup pattern, 3 weeks tight, paint by number 137.99, and it just rips higher. This is just a strong rally, folks, and it's broadening out. And it's not just technology, software, and you can see the my last ticker for the day, my favorite ticker, bro. What's up, bro? You can see it broke out of a base here, and gosh, just a flat base and a flat base and a move higher. We like stocks trading higher. There's nothing else to say about bro. Maybe that $80 area would be a point of interest, but it's starting to push away from any, proper buy area. But bro, one of my favorite ticker symbols. And anyway, that's it for me today. I covered a lot of stocks. If you want me to cover something, just leave it in the comments. Thank you for watching. And at mcstockcharts.com, we never give up.